Hello, hi Mehtap. It's so nice to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me and telling me the story behind Agora and what you do there. So tell me a little bit about that to start.
Of course. So my name is Mehtap. I am the general manager here at Agora restaurant in DuPont Circle, one of our two locations in the DC area. I've been with Agora for about 8.5 years now. I started off as a private events manager and became the general manager about 5, 6 years ago when the owner took full ownership. So yeah.
Got it. Very cool. So there's two locations then.
Correct. We
Okay.
have location DuPont Circle.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here for about 10.5 years now. It'll be 11 years in May of this year.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrated our 10-year anniversary in the middle of the pandemic, which was really fun, but
Yeah.
we had a lot of support virtually. Our Tyson's Corner location in Virginia, Northern Virginia, opened about 3 years ago now. So we'll be going into its third year, sorry,
Yeah.
in July of this year.
Okay. Very cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, they're in DC, like the heart of DuPont Circle with Pretty Fountain, all that stuff. And then Tyson's is like, um, more like mainstream. And so it's great that you have kind of two opportunities there to share the culture behind the restaurant with two different audiences, you know what I mean? Like two different kinds of locals. And so that's really great to hear. So 8 years. So tell me a little bit about the kind of how the passion. You're there as the general manager, so you see everything, you know everything. So what do you feel that the passion start? How did it start? Kind of for the restaurant. It's if we look at it as kind of the expertise behind Agora as cultural expression through Greek and or Turkish with Greek and Lebanese influences is I think how you kind of personify the menu. So if you might tell me a little bit about that, how did that form, when, and then how does that kind of liken to that cultural expression in those countries or cultures?
Of course. So I'll tell you how Agora began actually.
Yeah.
It is a melting pot of a restaurant, just like the country Turkey itself. We started about 10.5 years ago, 11 years ago, I want to say. The original owners, it was a family, it was a father and son with a executive chef, Chef Ghassan Jarouche, who is the Lebanese influence behind our cuisine here. So Chef Hashem and Chef Ghassan were the ones that originally opened the restaurant back in 2010. They brought in their Lebanese and Turkish culture from the Mediterranean coast. So if you look on a map of the Mediterranean, it's Greece, Turkey, Lebanon. So southern Turkey, the east of Greece, all the islands, and then it'll be to the west of Lebanon. They were all kind of infused together. So everyone kind of meshed in with their ingredients and have their own versions. And, this dish is mine, this dish is yours, and so on. And what we did here at Agora is we kind of took everything from that region and we kind of created our own version of it. So we definitely dedicated the flavors and the dishes to the countries itself, but with our own creations, with our own flavoring or twist to it. The restaurant was opened by a Lebanese and a Turkish chef, and then it was turned over to a Greek chef, Chef Dimo, who's from Lesbos Island. When we had ownership change, the owner about 6 years ago now took over Agora fully. Family owned, husband and wife. They're both from Turkey. So they took over the restaurant and they kind of incorporated more of a Turkish culture into it and still kept the Greek and Lebanese influence. And you see the influence from these chefs that were working with us. Our current chef is Turkish. He just started with us recently. He's from Marmaris region, which is close to the Mediterranean region. So we have a lot of influence from southern Turkey. And the great thing is the owner and the current chef, they both grew up in southern Turkey. Ismail Uslu, he's from Fethiye, which is a port city in Central South Turkey. And he is from the hospitality background itself. So he grew up on a farm, fresh ingredients. His family was in the hospitality industry, hotel business, restaurants, and everything. So he kind of started quickly into that as a child. And he took that and kind of made a career out of it. Came here in, I want to say 2008, and then worked as the bar manager at Agora. And then a few years later, he kind of just bought everyone out, took the restaurant over, and brought it to where it is today. Our chef, Chef Ismet, he's from Marmaris again. He, same story as Ismail, he grew up in the food industry. His parents owned a restaurant in Marmaris, and he grew up working in the kitchen with his parents, and took a liking to the industry, to the hospitality, to becoming a chef at a very young age. He worked in Oman and Dubai, all over Turkey, and now he's here in the States with us, and kind of helped not revamp our menu, but add his own touch to it and bring in more flavors that we're looking to present to our guests here.
I mean, and as you were speaking, as you were sharing that, if you think it goes back to what you're saying, is Turkey's kind of like that mosaic. It's like a mosaic of where it's almost like it personifies what the name Agora means. It's like a gathering place. It's like, you had this, people coming from all over the Mediterranean through there and back and forth. So that's part of it, but also just hearing the exchange of hands and the gathering and the community, from owner to chef to, hey, from Lebanese to Greek to Turkish. It's like, I mean, you're a living, breathing, even, you know what I mean? Like the cultural expression between you all is the same thing as what the restaurant represents. So
Correct.
It's like that evolution. Yeah, that's a really cool thing, because sometimes, it's not just the menu. It's not just the aesthetic. It's not just the it's a very ingrained, intentional movement that it's made too. So that's what I heard from you, and that's really unique. That even now with Ishmael and his new chef from Marmuz there in Turkey, that you kind of still, because of his influences too, it sounds like in the Middle East, they're bordering Lebanon, that all that influence still, it's very much still within kind of like the Turkish culture, right? Again, going back to that mosaic or those influences. So there was just so much there that I always wanted to unpack for everyone listening when they hear the story. And so that's so cool. Tell me a little bit more. Let's get into kind of the menu choices. Given that mosaic, that melting pot, that how do you feel that the menu today is characterized? Let's focus on Turkey, and then of course the Lebanese and the Greek influences. But how do you feel it's characterized there? I know you talked about southern Turkey, so maybe you want to talk about that a little bit, or in
so
general.
I do want to touch base on what you just said, what Agora means itself. So the term Agora itself means it means a marketplace or gathering place. We use it here as loosely as gathering place, a place for our guests to gather after work, for lunch, for brunch, for dinner, just to kind of unwind, enjoy an array of mezzes and drinks, and kind of experience what you would experience if you were on the islands of Greece or in Lebanon and Beirut or in Turkey itself. Like what you guys actually emphasize on is actually what we kind of built around our food and our culture and the hospitality that we provide here at Agora. So the concept, the food itself is served mezze style here. And the reason we chose to focus on mezze dishes on smaller plates is to kind of broaden everyone's flavor palette, to give them an ability to try different flavors, different food dishes that they may not be aware of or might not be too excited to give a first time try if it was like a big entree, for instance. So the culture of mezze, the food concept of it, the spread of it, comes from our region. And the whole concept is amazing. I love it. Like I would never go and order, a big portion of Adana kebab. I'd rather much get a small portion and try a little bit of everything and have a nice rakı, uzo with it, or a glass of Turkish wine or any wine from any of the regions actually that complement our food very well. Our menu does have a lot of the Mediterranean influence, spices, the meats that we use, even down to the oil that we use and we cook with. We do focus a lot on organic, healthy, clean eating here. All of our meats are actually halal. We believe that the cleanliness of halal meat actually portrays the cleanliness of our dishes, the healthiness of our dishes. So we do spices like urfa and marash and sumac from Turkey, za'atar from Lebanon, Palestine. We use olive oil from Greece, from the islands. We use a lot of lemons and limes, fresh, never bought, store bought. We, go for items that we typically would find if we were traveling overseas to the countries. Our branzino is Mediterranean branzino. We use octopus. We use quality meats here. So everything is derived from the menu that you would find if you did travel to Turkey or to Greece or to Lebanon. My favorite thing that guests say to me is when we have guests that have visited these countries, they'll say, oh my God, the food is almost exactly the same, if not better. Or I feel like I'm back home, or I feel like I was just on vacation in Turkey and I haven't missed a thing being here at Agora. They feel warm and welcomed and at home at the table. And I love hearing this when I talk to our guests here daily, because it just makes me feel that our staff is doing a great job of representing the hospitality that you would find in the Mediterranean region, the hospitality that our chef and our owners and myself have grew up with, that we implemented here for everyone to see. So it's like if you come to my house or you go to the chef's house, you're going to get the same experience as being here at Agora. And for our guests to recognize that just makes us happy. And that's, I think, what keeps us going and, staying true to our menu. We do make changes seasonally. However, we, want to stay true to certain items that we've had for the last 10 years that guests get upset when they see it off the menu for a day or we sold out of it. So our guests who've become our family for the most part, for our neighborhood here, definitely prove that, we're doing something right. And we're actually, able to provide the hospitality of the Mediterranean region and of our cuisine in itself.
Yeah, that sounds so great. So it's like, it's true to the cultural expression. So like you're an extension. It's almost like a portal into Turkey, into Greece, into Lebanon, and you hear that from your guests, like you said.
Correct.
And so if we talk about kind of the defining qualities, even if we get into that, I mean that's a great kind of overview of the menu and how it's characterized. But if we go a little bit further into how you would define those. How you would define the qualities of Agora compared to having the food or the drink there, in Turkey or Lebanon or Greece. It sounds like your recipes, the presentation, the tradition is all there. It sounds like your guests are, they validate that even when they speak to you. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Is there anything like, how about the recipes? Are there, you mentioned that chef grew up cooking with his mom and his dad, with his parents. What kind of influence has he brought? Kind of a more like a personal touch that means a lot to him, do you feel?
Yeah, so we've but we've kept true to a lot of the recipes, the original recipes that Chef Ghassan and Hashim had built here, as well as Chef Dimo. However, every chef brings their own touch or their own flavoring, their own concept. Chef Ismet, yes, he grew up with the old world Turkish kitchen. However, he actually focuses on bringing modernism to the authentic Turkish cuisine. So you can find, for instance, tabbouleh is our most classic salad with parsley, a very simple dish that you can find at almost any Mediterranean restaurant. And he takes his version of that and he added pomegranates and quinoa to it. So he's tried to take our dishes and certain items and added a little bit of a modern touch, something so people can see that, oh, you can get this in Turkey, but in Agora, DC, it's made this way and it just tastes almost identical, but there's just something to it that just makes it better or different or wants me to go back and try it. You know, we've taken a few items in that sense. He's brought a lot of dishes. He's changed some styles of meats. You know, Adana kebab, for instance, comes from the Adana region in Turkey. Meat is a big thing in Turkey and all over the Mediterranean. And you want to make sure you use really good quality meat. He's changed it from using just regular steak to ribeye steak and really good quality Australian lamb, and just a blend of it with all the spices and, you know, finding different spices that he's worked with overseas and bringing it here has definitely, I want to say, like, changed the game. Like, it's up the flavors of the recipes that we have here. He's been in the industry for 20 years. He's 33 years old and he's been doing this since he was a kid, and he has a lot to offer. So like I said, he's still fresh to the team, and we're anticipating a great menu from him for this summer. The winter has been great with him and we've had amazing feedback. We've added new items, but I think one of our highlights here is you do find mezze dishes here. But we've also brought an experience item. It's called our Experience for Two. It's where you get the whole lamb rack special, or like a lamb shoulder special, a 3-hour braised lamb shoulder. Or you can do like the whole fish franzino, or with grilled vegetables and things like that. So it's definitely an exciting time for us here, because we have a whole new chef that's definitely gonna take what we've already built and kind of add his spices to it, let's just say it that way, and kind of make it better for the guest here. And hopefully our guests see that and appreciate it and come back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really showcasing his craft. So like when you talk about how your guests feel that warm welcome at home table, the fact that he's so intentional with his menu and he adds his own, like, you know, if you were to go to his house, he'd probably serve it that way, the same way as you're talking, you know, about how you're, you know, warm and gracious to your guests as, you know, as managing the restaurant, and then the owners are, and that you all kind of treat that way. That's very chef-like, that he adds kind of his own spin. Yeah, and it's not just like, you know, yes, it's tradition, but it's not bland. It's not, there's heart in it, you know? So if it was just like getting it anywhere else, there wouldn't be that heart. So that's what that speaks. That's what I hear. And so that's really beautiful that he has so much heart in the menu, that, you know, he of course pays homage to the history, right, of the restaurant over the last decade or so, but also you know, cares so much that he adds his own take on it. So that's really awesome. And the mezzes and the experience specials for two, that sounds so great. Let's get into just one more question for you.
Sure.
Traveling abroad to the Mediterranean, to Turkey, you know, Greece, Lebanon, that whole area. Where, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a little bit, but where and when have you been? And then what are some of your favorite things to see or do? And then the other part of that, when you're thinking about your favorite things, it's going to, you know, there's usually emotion tied to that. So what spirit or way of life do you feel that you carry through the experience there at the restaurant because of your experiences abroad?
Of course. So yeah, it's very personal to me. So I'll tell you for first things first, I actually have known the owner, the co-owner, Batul Ismail's wife, since I was about 5 years old. So this is a family affair here. And I'm from Turkey. I was born in Istanbul and moved here when I was about 5, 6 with my parents. My mom comes from a culinary background. She worked at the Turkish embassy for about 20 years. In addition to, working at the residence for the ambassador, she was working side by side with the executive chef there. So she was also, cooking and putting her flavors to it. We're from northern Turkey, actually, so total opposite of the Mediterranean. So we're by the Black Sea. We have similar spices, but we have our own version of cooking. And the biggest thing for me growing up was I would spend my summers at my grandparents' farmhouse. And I think being there every summer and seeing my grandparents, especially my grandma, cook, have the neighborhood, not neighborhood, but the neighbors over for dinner, for lunch, for brunch, whatever it may be. People just popping up at your door at any time of day, actually. That's like one of the biggest things in Turkey itself. Was amazing for me as a child because it allowed me to respect what went into making fresh food ingredients. I would see her making cheese every morning, milking the cows, going down to our farm and picking kale and tomatoes and cucumbers and just making, kale soup or making fresh salad, eating those fresh tomatoes from the farm. It's like, I can still taste it in my mouth right now from being a child. I love visiting Turkey. Every time I go back to Turkey, I'm usually in Rize up north or I'm in Istanbul, but I do love to travel down south as well to the Mediterranean coast. I've traveled to Greece. I haven't had the fortune to visit Lebanon yet. It's definitely on my list. I enjoy the most being with family and friends when I'm overseas and actually trying different restaurants. I think that's like the biggest thing for me in Turkey. I enjoy food. I enjoy tasting it and comparing it. I go to restaurants overseas to see the experience and what I can bring back to Agora when I do come back to work. Every time I go to Turkey, I'll kind of focus on, okay, I'll send pictures to the owner or the chef. I'm like, hey, I saw this here and I saw that here. Or they're doing this way. And how about we incorporate something in this sense, the plate, whether it's like the way they plate it or the service standards that, I think we can implement to our staff, decor, ambiance, music, anything that I see that I think that could make Agora a little bit better every day. I try to kind of capture that and hopefully, be able to influence the staff and the guests and let them see that we do have culture everywhere and let them experience what I've experienced when I've traveled. My favorite thing to do, it does involve around Mezze. I actually love going down to the waterfront, to the Bosphorus, hanging out at one of those local not fish shops, but restaurants where you just do a rakı night or mezze nights. And you have almost like 50 dishes of mezze and you get rakı and there's music and laughter and people just enjoying themselves. The staff you can see are happy and taking care of you and just making sure you're having a great time. And you get lost in that atmosphere. And I've always would go and see how it was done. And I would always try to bring it back to Agora and I hope that guests do experience the same thing I've experienced going to Turkey as well. So I love traveling and I love I'm very observant. So I try to bring back what I've seen and experienced to the restaurant here. And I want to say, hopefully in the 8.5 years I've been here, I've been able to do a little bit of something to keep Agora where it's at. So
absolutely. I mean, the heart that you are so intentional too, in that you're on vacation or you're visiting, and that you're still thinking about how can I make this really an experience from the heart, given your role at the restaurant. So the fact that you
Mhm.
key in on those things, is really great. And, that does translate to your guests because they can tell when something is from the heart or when it's not. And so, you mentioned the ambiance. So if we even talk about the ambiance and the decor and the service and everything there at Agora, it's the same thing. So like you're very intentional about that and bringing that forward. So I appreciate you sharing that, and also your favorite things to see, of course, family and just the life and the very vibrant. Just hearing you talk about it, I can just picture it just so vibrant, and that energy is carried through there at the restaurant, I'm sure, for everyone to experience. That's so wonderful. The last thing I kind of wanted to say is the way it all sounds. I mean, like you said, Agora is a gathering place. It's people walking through your doors. I really want to encourage everyone to come and visit you all. It sounds like a beautiful blend and mosaic of you said Mezze is a small taste of all of those cultures and how they've influenced one another, all in that one place coming in there, and that they really get that authentic experience. I thank you so much, Mehtap, for sharing that with me and with everyone. And I just want to thank you sincerely, and hope everyone can come and see you soon and experience it for themselves.
I hope so. I hope so. I would love to host you as well. Please, I really appreciate this and being able to put out there the concept and what Mezze means to the culture and how we want all of our guests to experience it. And hopefully we get some new guests. We don't like to say customers, we like to say family guests.
Family guests, exactly. You said
like
that.
it's coming to our house. Exactly. I hate saying clients and customers. So, I can't wait to have you as a guest here one day. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of
I look
course.
forward to that.